Good afternoon and welcome to Cincinnati Rotary Club 17, the 17th oldest Rotary Club in the known universe, and also the best. We have an exciting program today and we're really looking forward to it. My name's Bill Stilley. I'm on the board of directors, and President Steve asked me to fill in for him today as he and Doug are unavailable. And so, this is like living the dream, you know what I mean? President for a day. And wait till he sees the executive orders I signed off on. That's his budget. He doesn't care. What the heck. We'll party down. Well, as I said, we have a really exciting program today. Bobby Spann is our speaker today. He is the Vice President of External Affairs at the Greater Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport. And Bobby, we're really looking forward to your talk and really excited that we have that flight from here to Paris direct. That's really neat. We're going to begin our program this morning with a singing of the national anthem led by Bob Brandstetter and accompanied by Kay Atkins, and that will be followed directly by the invocation and four-way test led by Molly Rydell.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good afternoon, Club 17. Please join me in a short prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful weather that we have today, for the meal that we are enjoying, and for our speaker today, Mr. Bobby Spann with CVG, who has taken time from his busy schedule to be with us today. We ask for your guidance, your wisdom, and your support. Help us to grow as a group and fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect children and others less fortunate than ourselves in our community and around the world. Please continue to remind us that all that we do together and all that we accomplish is for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name, Almighty Father. Amen. And now let us recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. Please have a seat.
Thank you, Molly, and thank you, Bob and Kay. And now I'd like to invite Nancy Reese up to introduce our guests and potential members.
Good afternoon, Club 17. We have several guests I'd like to introduce you to, prospective members. And when I call your name, if you would please stand up so we can welcome you, I'd appreciate it. The first one is Mike Braun. Mike is retired, and he is a guest of Don Allinger. Welcome. Second, we have Pavan Perrick, who is with the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts, and he is a guest of Ed Mathis. Welcome, Pavan. Next, we have Todd Anderson, and Todd is the new pastor at the Hyde Park United Methodist Church, and obviously Hyde Park, and he is a guest of Jim Young. Welcome, Todd. And last, we have our Assistant District Governor, Ron Hollenbeck, with us. Ron is in the back of the room. He's waving to us. And his home club is Centerville.
Well, it's great to be here. My track record isn't too good. I was just talking with Brett when he was club president. I think we were 0 for 4. Every time I showed up, he wasn't here. I didn't take it as he was trying to avoid me, but it was just coincidental. And even with Steve King, I was talking with him, and then he's not able to be here today. So not developing a complex, but it's always great to come down here and see everybody. You're such a great, vibrant club, so good luck to everybody.
Thank you to all of our guests and those of you who brought them, and please come back and visit us again.
Thank you, Nancy. And now I'd like to bring up Judy Pogue, who is our meeting sponsor with Comey Shepherd.
Thank you, Bill, president for the day. Anyway, I'm Judy Pogue. I'm with Comey and Shepherd Realtors, and I know most of you. As you know, I work in the corporate office of Comey and Shepherd, which is located in Marymount. We have 12 offices, 650 realtors throughout the greater Cincinnati area, and we were #1 in the marketplace again last year, so yay. We have some phenomenal real estate agents. As you know, I'm in relocation. I work with companies who relocate people. I do not list or sell real estate, but if you're interested in anyone coming out and talking to you about the value of your home, if you're interested in selling a home in Naples, Florida, if you're looking to buy a home in Phoenix, whatever your real estate needs maybe, feel free to contact me and we can address them really anywhere in the world. We recently implemented a Comey and Shepherd Cares program where we will advance up to $10,000 to make any repairs or improvements to your home, and then we get those monies back at closing. So that's just another innovative program that Scott Nelson, the owner of our company, implemented during COVID, and we've used it quite effectively to help people maximize the sale price of their properties. So thanks for listening to me again, and I look forward to talking to all of you after the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Judy. Now I'd like to invite up Tasha Stapleton, who's going to introduce a new member, Sarah Portman.
Good afternoon. My name is Tasha Stapleton. I currently work for the Building Industry Association of Northern Kentucky, but Sarah Portman I actually met at 3CDC, and that was when I joined actually the Rotary. The first thing I wanted to tell you a little bit about Sarah is how lucky you are that she is joining the Rotary. And the reason why I say that is that she has everything from the big city girl to the small city girl to the southern girl in her background. She actually has lived in Chicago by way of Cleveland to Virginia to South Carolina to Cincinnati. So she's gone kind of in all different types of markets. She also had her bachelor's degree in fine arts from the Coastal Carolina University in South Carolina. I met Sarah 3 years ago when she relocated to Cincinnati. She and her husband actually traveled to multiple cities all over the United States, and they fell in love with the idea of living here. They're both intimately involved in our city, and this is why I think the Rotary is the perfect place for Sarah to join. When we met at 3CDC, she jumped straight in. She has got so much energy, and one of my favorite attributes that I always tell her is her woo. It's impossible for Sarah to be in a room and not have her completely shift the energy to be lighter and happier. She's an incredible worker, and she is an unbelievable force at 3CDC. One thing I do want to point out about Sarah, 3CDC does a lot of amazing things for our city. They've done over $1.6 billion of development, but there's one piece of that that is on her heart, and it's called Ziegler Park. Sarah does all kinds of things with young children in our community that live in that 45202 zip code at Ziegler. She helps out with everything from a summer camp that serves 80 low-income household children, as well as leads things like the swim team, which is a phenomenal group of little kids that when they first started, they couldn't swim at all. And now many of them are winning awards. They do over 500 free swim lessons a year. She took the individual givings donations from zero when it didn't exist to 3 years later. Last year, she raised over $40,000 in individual donations for those programs, which is amazing. This year, she is participating in Sea Change at the Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce, and she is specifically working on Blink. So if you want the inside scoop on Blink or all the great things happening at Cincinnati at 3CDC, don't miss your chance to meet this outstanding individual. I think you'll hear her name a lot in our city over the next few years. Congratulations, Sarah.
Welcome, Sarah. It's so exciting to have you and to hear all about you. I'd like to present you with your Rotary pen.
Oh, thank you so much.
And welcome to Cincinnati Rotary.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
If we could get Sarah, you're fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have quite a few announcements this morning. First off, our birthdays for this week. September 13th, Jim Hudson, and if you're here, please stand up. September 14th, Ken Saunders. Also, Ed Atchison on the 14th. On the 16th, Polly Ash. And on the 17th, Sam Schutte. Let's give them all a nice, warm round of applause, even though they're not here. You know, Rotarians consistently amaze me at how much they do, how much they volunteer and contribute of their time, treasure, and self. And we'd like to recognize Michael Schatzman this morning for all of his work putting together the latest neighborhood coffee program, which I understand is really great. Thank you, Michael. Rotarians at Work Day is going to be on the 29th of this month. We'd like you to RSVP and sign up. You can look at your E-Raise or go online to sign up and see the different programs. The annual event this year will allow Rotarians to meet in locations throughout the Cincinnati area, a day of vocational fellowship, and it allows for smaller groups to meet at multiple locations, providing the opportunity just to get to know members on a more personal basis. Each group of Rotarians will arrive at each location by noon and finish the visit by 1:30. A box lunch will be provided for each attendee, and this year we have 5 different locations, and they are the Salvation Army in Norwood, Cincinnati Type and Print Museum, the YMCA on Central Parkway, the Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science, and the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. Now, there are a limited number of folks at each of these locations, so the faster you sign up, the more likely you'll be able to get the location that you really want. And those RSVPs are due next Thursday. Rotary After Hours is back. Actually by popular demand. And our next Rotary After Hours will be hosted by Kelly Mahan on Friday, September 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30 at her home in Graydown Meadow Lane. Attendees should bring their beverage of choice, an appetizer or dessert to share. And again, please RSVP so that Kelly will know how many folks are coming. A really exciting event is coming up in October, and that's Rotary Due Days. It's going to be held on October 21st and 22nd, which is a Friday and a Saturday. And there are 20 different projects with 17 different nonprofit organizations. This is, as they say, a big deal. It'll be exciting to get Rotarians volunteered to work with non-Rotarians as we open this up to the public after today. So please sign up right away, and on the site you'll see what the locations are, what the nonprofits are, and you can sign up to volunteer where you would like. Please keep Rotarian Michael Villardo and his family in your thoughts and prayers as they mourn the loss of Michael's brother Tommy. Tommy passed away this weekend after a long battle with MS. And now we have Split the Pot. The winner will get $36, and the big pot will draw from a deck of cards for $534. Only Cincinnati Rotarian members are for the big pot. And I'm going to ask our speaker if he wouldn't pull out a ticket. Here we go. And the winner is a blue ticket. The last four numbers are 7551. Again, drawing for the Queen of Hearts. Well, as past President La Jeunesse would say, so close. Now I'd like to have Al Conscious come up to introduce our speaker today.
Thank you, Interim President Bill. In honor of our speaker today, I'll tell you a quick pilot story. This fellow gets his license, and he's doing a solo cross-country flight, and he gets lost. He has no idea where he is. So he contacts air traffic control, and they're trying to find him on radar, and they can't. So they ask him, what's your last known position? He said, when I was number one for takeoff. Takes a while. So we're very happy to have Bobby Spann today. He's the Vice President of External Affairs for CBG. Bobby has spoken to us before, and with all the great stuff happening at the airport, we wanted to get him back out and get an update from him. Bobby is responsible for leading air service development, which includes recruiting new carriers, developing new routes, building community and corporate partnerships, and representing the airport with industry forums and associations. Bobby joined CBG in 2011 after a 25-year career in airline management at both Eastern and Delta Airlines. Bobby is a native of Nashville, Tennessee. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from David Lipscomb University and currently lives in Union, Kentucky with his wife, Jean Marie, and two sons, Lee and Brady. Please welcome Bobby Spann.
Thank you, Al, and thank you, Bill, Interim President Bill, and Judy and the other people at the head table. It was very nice to visit with you this afternoon. And on behalf of Candace McGraw and the more than 400 employees who directly work for CVG Airport, thank you for inviting us back to speak with you. Last time I spoke with you was in the summer of July, August of 2020, right as the peak of COVID was impacting our lives and our businesses and the way that we went about the community. It's great to be back with you under certainly better situation and better circumstances. The airport continues to rebound from the COVID experience that we've gone through over the last 24 to 36 months, and really the presentation today will kind of outline some of the recovery efforts that we've had, and should give you a little bit more positive tone than the last time we were together in 2020 when we really weren't sure exactly what the future held for us. I've got a presentation here, but please feel free to ask questions, and we'll keep this as informal as we can. But I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with the national anthem. I felt like I was getting ready to go to the Reds game or something, and you guys did great. So a little bit about the airport. I'm sure some of you have not heard a presentation from the airport before, so some of you probably have, so some of this will be a repeat. But going back to 2019, which was pre-COVID, that's our benchmark for who and what the airport is. 2019, we had 9.1 million passengers going in and out of the airport, which was a record year in terms of local passengers. Everybody likes to refer back to 2005, 2006 as the highlight years of CVG at the peak of the Delta hub. But really, in 2005 and 2006, we didn't have as many people come and go through the front door of the airport as we did in 2019. 2019 was a record year in terms of our local performance and local boardings and emplainments from you, the people who actually live in the area. Prior to that, it was a majority of people just connecting planes from one plane to the next. I'm going to go through a lot of stuff today, but the key thing is we're benchmarking everything to 2019. Right now, as of 2022, we're currently the 7th largest cargo airport in North America, and this is really our shining star, and I'll talk a lot about cargo this afternoon. One point I don't have on the slide is where do we stand globally? And while we're 7th in North America, over the last 24 months, we've gone from being outside the top 20 in the world to now number 18 in the world. The performance of DHL and Amazon, as well as some of our new cargo carriers, are really starting to increase our footprint on a global stage, and we're very proud of that. Employment at the airport is doing extremely well. We're now over 16,000 badged employees. If you think about the city of CVG and what it represents in terms of its own police department, its own fire department, its own medical offices, in terms of taking care of the people on the campus at CVG, it really is a city within a city itself. And last time I spoke with you in 2020, we were at about 13,500, close to 14,000. Now we're over 16,000 employees. And it's really increasing our economic impact. The last economic impact study we did was based on 2018 data. This is probably the same number I gave you last time. But as of 2018 data and the report that was run in 2019, our economic impact was $6.8 billion. And that's double what it was just 6 years previous to that. So since I last spoke with you, we have started a new strategic plan, a new 5-year strategic plan. This is really the 3rd iteration of our strategic plan development that we are going through. This particular program started at the beginning of January of this year. And really the vision around what CVG is working to do right now is to be the catalyst that transforms our region. The mission statement is to redefine and elevate the role of the airport. Again, the airport is more than just airplanes landing and taking off. It's about jobs. It's about economic development. It's about the global economy coming to and from Cincinnati. And we've kind of level set ourselves in terms of coming out of the airline consolidation of where we had one dominant carrier really controlling CVG and Delta to now we're a very diversified network of carriers, getting more community and local support than we ever have and before. And it's time to start looking for that next position that CVG needs to play in. We really want to be that element in the community, whether it be Southwest Ohio or Northern Kentucky or Southeast Indiana, that transforms our region. Some of the objectives and things that we plan on doing to help us do that is to make sure we have operational excellence in everything that we do. We're going to be going through a refurbishment of the airport terminals over the next 2 to 3 years, kind of doing a refresh. And it's hard to believe I've been here for 11 years, and we just finished the last refresh about 10 years ago when I was here, and it's already time to do it again. But Candace and team are very focused on making sure that your customer experience is second to none anywhere in the world. My job is to grow air service. I spend every day, 365, 24/7, trying to recruit new airlines, taking the existing airlines that are here and get them to do more. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. The redefined piece of the airport, kind of changing what we expect the airport to do, is a new element. And we have a new innovation team right now that's kind of going outside the boundaries of what a traditional airport normally would do. Our innovation team is working on air mobility, drone technology, things that are going to be hitting us in the next 5 to 10 years, where you will have pilotless aircraft taking you much like a Jetsons taxi, if you will, if you remember the cartoon show, The Jetsons. That is not too far off in our distant future, and we know that CVG will be ready to play a role in that type of technology going forward. If you've been in the airport lately, you've seen some of the robotic technology where all of the floor cleaning is now done through robots instead of manual activity, and it's kind of leading the way in terms of what other airports are going to be doing. Let's talk a few minutes about our air service and our passenger staffs, which is really my specialty. And again, very proud of what's been accomplished over the last 10 years. CVG, despite going through COVID, we've lost some routes, but we picked up some new routes. We lost a few carriers. We picked up some new carriers. We're still in a solid footprint of 50 nonstop destinations right now. We, in normal times, had on average 12 to 13,000 passengers a day going in and out of our airport. We're close to getting that back. You'll see in just a minute. We're averaging in between 11 and 11,500 a day right now. But the key thing is that our airport is local. It's not a connecting hub globally. It's about you. It's about the community. It's about the local market. And I'm proud to let you know that when we look at people coming in and out of the front door of the airport, you and your families, 71 to 72% of the domestic people traveling at CVG are going nonstop to their destination. And that's more than a lot of our competing cities on an economic forefront, such as Raleigh-Durham or Austin, Texas, or Nashville, St. Louis, Kansas City. They're in the 60s in terms of 6 out of 10 people coming through their front door yet don't have to make a connection to go where they want to go. 7 out of 10 people coming and going through our front door are going final to their destination, and I'm real proud of that statistic. It's something we watch very closely. And as our most popular unserved destinations get stronger coming out of COVID, we're going to continue to add to this map that you see here. This is our trend of passenger emplainments over the last 24 months, and kind of use this quite frequently because it kind of demonstrates, the COVID impact and where we were. But the fact that we've got a very positive trend line building up as through August of this past year, August 2022, we're up about 10 to 11% compared to where we were in 2021. But we're still off about 80 to 85%. We're only doing about 80 to 85% of what we were doing in 2019, which was that record year that we had. So we're close. We can see, light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. But we're still at about 80 to 85% of where we were in 2019 in terms of our passenger positions. This particular slide gives you a good understanding as to how the rest of the country is doing. This isn't specific to CVG. This is looking at every airport in the country, and it's tracking the number of people that transit the TSA checkpoint lines in every airport in the country as it compares to 2019. And if you will go back, I think over here to the start of COVID, which we kind of benchmark as between March and April 2020, you can see the industry basically collapsed. We were only at about 5% of the passenger volumes in 2019 that we were in 2019. And obviously, we've continued to dig our way out to the point to where now getting back, I'll do this right here. Getting back to the last couple of months, the industry is starting to hit at 90 to 97% of 2019 levels. So I think by the end of the year, we'll start seeing, we won't be talking about 2019 anymore. I've been doing that for 36 months. It's getting kind of old. But we'll start again. That's when the rebuild will be complete, and we'll start building again on newer traffic coming forward. So this is the national average. This is every airport in the country. This particular slide is the same type of information specific to CVG. And as you can see down here, we were much like the national footprint. We were actually down 96% compared to where we were in 2019 at the start of COVID. We've been building back out, and you can see right now for the first 11 days, first 13 days of September, we're at 97% of 2019 levels. So Again, we had a really strong Labor Day push at the start of this month, so that's going to carry us a little bit for the first couple of weeks of September. This will normalize out to probably about 92-93% of 2019. But the key message I want you to get out of that is we are back. We're getting really close to where we were in 2019. This is another interesting slide, and the reason I wanted to show this to you is because many of you represent companies and businesses that do a lot of corporate travel domestically and internationally. These three lines represent different distribution channels. If you think about yourself and you're going to take your family to Orlando, you're likely going on Expedia or Kayak or some other travel industry website, looking at prices, looking at airline schedules. Then you may end up going to the airline website to book your tickets. But most of the domestic travel, a lot of people are doing it on their own. Still, a lot of people go through travel agencies, and the corporate market predominantly always goes through a travel agency or that type of product. So, explaining to you what these three lines represent, the red line represents corporate travel. These are people buying and selling ticket out of their corporate budgets. The green line represents leisure travel, people buying through travel agencies, usually tours or group type travel. A lot of international travel is in the green line. And the white line is your Expedia, your Orbitz, your Travelocity, your Kayak, your online travel agency groups, where you kind of do the booking yourself without a travel agency support. So what I was going to point out with this, when travel started to rebound, it was predominantly people on vacation, family and friends, and these percentages represent that volume of travel compared to 2019. The key thing here, what's going to get CVG back to where we need to be in 2019 will be the corporate traveler. We're predominantly a corporate airport. Roughly about 60% of our travel in 2019 was from corporate business travelers, about 40% through leisure travelers. Right now, we're about 60% leisure and about 40% corporate. But this red line is the key line that we're watching very closely. And you can see, tracking it back over the last 2 years, corporate travel is definitely coming back. Roughly in the month of September, we're averaging about 75% of 2019 levels for corporate travel. So that's very important. And it's not only important to CVG, but every airport in the country. It's important to the airlines. It's important to our global economy. I'll be honest with you, this situation that we're seeing with typical type recession behaviors, things are slowing down just a little bit. But as you saw in the last couple of days with the CPI and the rate of inflation, people are still getting it done out there, despite the headwinds that they're facing on the pricing side. So if you're a corporate flyer, get back in the air. There's another report out there, I don't have a slide on it, it's called the Castle Report, and it tracks the number of badge swipes. A lot of us go in and out of corporate office buildings, you have a magnetic badge that you swipe to get into the doors. This tracks the top 10 metropolitan country or cities in the United States. And believe it or not, the most recent tracking over the last 2 months is only about 40 to 45% of eligible badges are being swiped, meaning that 50 to 55% of the people still aren't back in their offices. They're working from home, they're working in virtual environments, and this is going to be a key ingredient that also has to change before corporate travel completely gets back. Obviously, we need people in their offices to host and to welcome other business travelers, right? So just some interesting points for you to consider on that. So looking at this next slide, one of the value propositions that's changed for CVG over the last 10 years, especially over the last 5 to 6 years, is the price. We used to have over 750,000 to 1 million people a year who should use CVG using Dayton or Indy, Columbus, Louisville, Lexington, because our prices were some of the highest in the country. Over the last 6 to 7 years, that's significantly changed to the point to where we're now the lowest airport cost in the region. All of those airports I mentioned before, our price base is lower than what they are, has been for the last 4 to 5 years. And we're still below the national average. I'll be honest with you, the prices are going up. They're going up for everybody. But one of our key focus points is to make sure that we maintain an average fare below the national average, making sure that we have a value proposition for you in our local community that's second to none. So moving to cargo real quick, as I mentioned before, cargo is a lifeline for CVG. It's hard to imagine where CVG would be without cargo. If we had gone through COVID and not had the DHL hub or the Amazon hub, the situation would have been very, very bad. But fortunately, because of the strength of the DHL hub and their employment base, the Amazon hub and their employment base, and the fact that the whole world was transitioning to an e-commerce environment, COVID turned out to be a little bit of a boom for us, and not a little bit, a big boom for us in terms of the cargo business. We went from number 23 or 24 in the world to number 18 in the world in a matter of 18 months in terms of tonnage handled at the airport. So cargo is a key sector for our region. We average about 1.8 to 1.9 million tons of cargo coming through the airport on a daily basis. Over the last 5 to 6 years, you can see on this slide, we've grown our cargo tonnage handled by more than 111%. And most of this has been on the backs of DHL and most recently, the last 24 months, Amazon. We had an all-time record year in 2021, a COVID year. We set records for cargo tonnage. Part of that was PPE, but a lot of that was just growth in the e-commerce business. 2022 is proving to be another record year. We expect to surpass 1.9 million tons this year in terms of our total tonnage handled. And just in July, we were up 30% compared to last year. August, we were up 29% compared to last year. And there seems to be no slowing down on this. Amazon is ramping up into its second phase, and I'll talk about that more in just a few minutes. But what this also leads to is, apologize, I didn't have the slides keeping up with me, is what the cargo is also bringing is that economic development function. The support functions that go along with all of this cargo tonnage that's coming through the airport is now starting to relocate. The picture on the slide is of Atlas World Operations headquarters here in Erlanger. And this was just opened last year. But more than 500 employees have relocated to the area in Erlanger to work in this operations center for Atlas Air. They are a global carrier. They have traffic in the airlines and aircraft all over Europe, all over Asia, but all of them are controlled from Erlanger, Kentucky, at this particular facility just off I-75. As I mentioned before, the DHL hub, there's 3 DHL global hubs, one in Hong Kong, one in Leipzig, Germany, and one in CVG, or at Cincinnati. And we're the second largest hub for DHL. Again, DHL, you might not know, you always hear FedEx, you hear UPS, but DHL is the world's largest cargo airline. It's bigger than FedEx, it's bigger than UPS on a global stage, and we're very proud to have one of their 3 hubs here at CVG. But over the last 3 years, their employment has gone from about 2,500 employees to more than 6,000 employees just over the last 24 months. We talked about the Amazon Air Hub, and again, a lot of you probably don't make your way to the south side of the airport. The picture that you see in the background there, that's the first phase of their sort facility. If you can imagine 2 additional buildings that size lined up going south, as you look on this picture, it'll be about a mile long, one distribution sort facility that Amazon is going to be running. What I was going to say is it will be larger than anything UPS or FedEx has in terms of their sort capabilities. So we're looking forward to that. The impact of Amazon is in first phase was about $1.5 billion of economic impact to our airport property with the investment that they're making there. Additionally, I want to continue to talk about our strategic plan and what we're doing on that. theme is a maintenance and MRO provider for aircraft. They do the heavy maintenance for Atlas Air and for other airlines. And because of the growth of DHL, because of the growth of Atlas and Amazon, Theme built a 747 hangar just across from our offices on the south side. And it's been full since day one, which opened about 2 years ago. And what's that leading to is they just signed an agreement for an additional $40 million development right next to it for another 3-position aircraft hangar. So they'll have 4 bays capable of handling 747 aircraft. This is brand new over the last 3 to 4 years. This brings very high-paying maintenance mechanics jobs into the community, into the airport. It's opening up new needs in our educational system in terms of licenses to mechanics, and that's become a very major part of what we're trying to do at CVG. And again, it's changing the role of the airport in a large way. So kind of looking forward, this is kind of the aerial view of the 7,700 acres that represents CVG. The south side, you can see the 650 acres that Amazon has contracted to build on. They've only completed phase 1. They're starting on phase 2 right now. The light blue area in the top, that's additional property between the runways that Amazon has signed contract options on. And that's going to be another 300 acres of land that they could potentially build on in the years ahead. But again, we're using our land spots creatively for economic development purposes, new distribution warehousing. Site 7, which is at the end of our east-west runway, is the next phase that we're working on with Hemmer on a new project that's 2.4 million square feet of floor area for warehousing there. So a lot happening at the airport. As I said, we're a regional hub for jobs, over 16,000 jobs now, and about 52% of the people who work at the airport live in Kentucky, but again, 38% from Ohio and about 10% from Indiana. So again, it is a regional impact that we're having. It's not just a local MSA type position that we're working on. In total, 47,000 jobs are supported by CVG and the activity that takes place there. Wanted to make sure that I highlight this. If you know someone that's looking for work, or if you're interested in anything to do with any of the businesses that are on the campus of CVG, not just being pilots or flight attendants or ticket agents, but there's hundreds and hundreds of different specialty type jobs that impact the aviation cycle. We have every job that's open, regardless of the employer, all the different tenants who badge employees at CVG. We've consolidated all those open jobs into one website at cvgairport.com, and we invite you to go take a look at jobs@cvgairport.com, and please refer that to your friends and neighbors if they have interest there. Getting close to the end here, talking about the economic impact, I mentioned that we had doubled that over the last 10 years. Again, going back to 2010, 2012 timeframe, where the economic impact of the airport was $3.5 billion, which is nothing to sneeze at. We increased that to $4.4 billion in 2015. In 2018, we hit that $6.8 billion mark. So the investment that we're making are certainly paying off, and we're looking forward to our next study, which will be done probably at the end of next year. Because of COVID, we pushed it back a couple of years because it just didn't make sense to invest in that type of work when things were not level set to where they were in 2019. Also, a public service announcement: if you travel, note that the federal government by May 3rd, 2023 plans to start the Real Travel ID, where you'll have to have a special notification on your driver's license that you've got additional background check positions in place to get that. Otherwise, you won't be able to use your driver's license. You'll have to use a passport. So if you use your driver's license, please make sure that by May 3rd you have a real ID. And then last commercial for CVG, Skytrax is one of the global survey firms that track airports and do surveys on travelers around the world. And there's over 16,000 different airports around the world that are subjected to this particular survey. And CVG continuously, on a year-over-year basis, pops up as one of the top in North America. In fact, 8 of the last 11 years, we've been voted as the best regional airport in North America. This most past year, in 2022, we were awarded the best airport in North America for staff service, and that's probably the most important one that you want to get because that really speaks to the people that work at CVG and how they want to take care of our customers. But I know I spoke very fast. I normally talk real fast, but I'm glad to take any questions, and I'll try and slow down when I do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bobby. That was a great presentation and one filled with information that we really, really need to hear.
Good.
It's exciting to hear that CVG is back.
We are back.
And that's really neat. I know as a former traveler, having CVG as a big airport really made a big difference. And for those of you who are corporate travelers, I can tell you from firsthand experience and from research, doing business face-to-face really beats and is more effective than doing business over Zoom or one of the other services. There's nothing like sitting down across the table from someone you're going to do business with to really get a feel for that. Thanks again, Bobby. Let's have a warm Rotary thank you one more time. And Bobby, as you serve so well the Cincinnati area and as CVG cargo-wise serves the whole world, Rotary serves the world as well, and we're trying to get rid of polio. And so we have a Stop Polio Now campaign, and we're going to be making a donation in your honor for speaking today. We'd also like to give you this as a token. It is the Rotary coin. On one side, it's the Rotary Club 17, and on the other is the four-way test that you heard at the beginning of our meeting of the things that we think and say and do as Rotarians.
Bill, do you have time for some questions?
Yes.
Any questions? I don't know if that comes off or not.
Does now.
Okay. Here, I'll let you. This room acoustics are a little bit
Thank you,
bad,
Mr.
so-
So as a former person that traveled every week, are we ever going to get back to the level that we were as a hub? Are there carriers coming in or anything that's going to add to that? Because I don't like making 2 stops to go every place. I'm spoiled.
Okay, good question. Everybody hear a question about will we ever get back to like a hub status at CVG? Well, you never say never. We definitely have the facilities and we have the capabilities with 4 runways to operate as a hub. But again, from a local community perspective, remember what I was sharing with you earlier. Over 70% of the people that walk through our front door is finding a flight nonstop to their final destination, and that's extremely important. And when we compare ourselves to some of the other people we compete against, like Columbus or Indianapolis, Raleigh-Durham, Nashville, we're ahead of them in terms of being able to say the people coming and going through our front door are going nonstop to their destination. I'm not saying that doesn't mean we need more nonstop destinations. We definitely need more nonstop destinations, and there's several that we lost during COVID that we need to get back. But the important thing is that we diversify our network. We never want one brand or one company to dictate who we are, and we were in that position for a long time, and we are diversified now. Delta's still our largest carrier with about 35-40% of the market share in the airport, and that's a good place for them to be. But American's growing. American's 25-30%. United's 10-15%. Alaska Airlines came in last year nonstop to Seattle. They blew the doors off. They have done unbelievable stimulation in the Seattle market. We've got twice as many people flying from Cincinnati to Seattle now as we did prior to Alaska. And that's because we got competition. The pricing came down, and it really helped our market. I don't see us in the near future, probably our lifetime, of coming back into the hub environment. You never say never. But again, we want to make sure, and that's my job, is to make sure we have the destinations that we need to travel nonstop to, both from a convenience as well as an economic development perspective. Okay.
I am a frequent traveler, and I'm very thankful that my chances of getting struck by lightning on the golf course are greater than being on a plane that's going to be hijacked or crashed. So Thank you very much for that. Now, my question is this. I do not find it terribly convenient now to park at Fast Park and then be dropped off where I have quite a walk with my luggage to get to where I'm going to Why did that happen, and how does that compare with other airports? I liked it when I used to be dropped off right at the outside check-in place where I could give my bag to a Delta agent, and he would take my bag, and I'd walk right into the airport. That was better.
That's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked that because I didn't touch on it during the presentation. How many of you have seen the new consolidated rental car facility? Oh, that's great. I mean, obviously we have a lot of airport people here. So last year we did open the consolidated rental car facility, which moves all of the off-site. You know, we used to have people having to take buses that would come in for a rental car to go pick up their cars. Now you can just go down baggage claim, go down to the rental car facility inside the terminal, pick up your car from the rental car garage. Well, that changed the infrastructure a little bit about how we needed to operate drop-offs and pickups at the airport. And because of that, all of the off-site airport parking, the CVG long-term parking, shuttle pickup and drop-off is what we call a new ground transportation center, which is connected to that consolidated rental car facility. Candace will acknowledge that that hasn't been the best experience in transition over the last 12 months. We're looking to hire some new porters, some new what we call sky caps, and a company that will assist people in getting their luggage from the consolidated rental car facility drop-off into the main terminal at the ticket counters. But it's a growing pain type situation where we want to improve that convenience and that experience for you. But it is different. I won't try to sell you on it being better than it was before. It's just different than it was before. And again, it's a function of that consolidated rental car facility. Yes, sir.
I spent 27 years in the international air freight business.
Yes, sir.
I dragged 3 of my 4 brothers into it. As a matter of fact, 2 of them are still at it. And I spent 8 years of those 27 years at the old cargo building working for Pan Am. And I just wonder if the old cargo building is going to be there it's going to be gone anytime soon, because every time I go out to the airport I expect it to be
gone. If you better grab your camera because it is about to go, and it should. It's beyond usable repair in terms of leaking a roof and other normal facilities inside. But that's a great lead into something else I wanted to talk about. And on the north side of the airport, again, all of our cargo activity right now is predominantly DHL and Amazon and a little bit of Delta on the Paris trip that they restarted on August the 2nd. But we have a lot of capabilities on the north side of the airport, especially with these rental car agencies moving into the terminal now for additional cargo development. We're the 7th largest cargo airport in North America, but 95% of our cargo is express. It's the expedited type, door-to-door, B2B, B2C type product where it needs to move fast. There's another product that's bigger than what we're currently involved in called general air cargo that air freight forwarders and those are working on, and that's more of a 10 to 14 day type product where it's moves slower but it also moves at a different price. We're looking to diversify the north side of our airport facility. We're going to build a new cargo village, as Candace likes to call it, that's going to be able to allow us to recruit additional cargo carriers coming in, and we'll diversify that footprint for cargo just like we have for passenger. But that place that you used to work at will be remodeled. It's going to be a brand new position. It's going to have about 12 747 parking positions out behind it, and it'll be a great visual coming in to the airport as well. Yes, sir.
So you talked a lot about cargo and Amazon and so forth. You recently read where Amazon now has said they're not going to expand as much from a distribution perspective and warehousing perspective as they were originally talking about, and cutting back on that. Is that a concern for CVG that they may not expand here like they had originally talked about?
No, not at all. They've been more committed than ever. They're currently moving the dirt on phase 2. I'll be honest with you that the economic situation that we're in right now, where there is expected to be a little bit of a slowdown, is changing some of the timeline of that. But dirt is still being moved, and we expect the phase 2 piece for Amazon and phase 3 to be played out over the next 5 to 10 years. Phase 1 is going great. They have a new schedule coming in starting in October. It's going to double pretty much the number of flights that they're bringing in. But they're very committed to the long-term plan here for CVG, despite what's happening in the economy right now. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, came back from a trip got into CVG about 10:30 on a Friday night, and we couldn't get a Lyft or an Uber, and we were looking all over for signs for taxis, because I remembered that they at least used to have taxis, but I was walking up and down, could not find a sign anywhere in the rental car area. And finally, our Lyft guy said, just take a taxi. And I was like, where is it? And he said, you walk outside and you go down. They were hard to find. They were like around a corner, and there was no visible signage. Has that changed?
It really hasn't changed, but as part of some of the introduction of the consolidated rental car facility, we've got more things on our signage. It used to be just rental cars or just taxis only, and now there's 6 or 7 other components to the signage there, so it's a little bit harder to see, but I'll take that as a takeaway. We certainly want to make sure that our wayfinding is accurate and it's easy. That's a key to our success, and we definitely want the taxi stand to be found, as well as the Lyft and Uber pickups as well. But thank you for sharing that.
We have time for one more question. Max?
And I've got it.
You've got the mic.
When I was a little boy, if you wanted to send a letter airmail, you had to pay extra. What has happened over the last 50 years that we're doing all of this air cargo? Because it used to be it was all trucks and trains and towboats. What has changed over the last 50 years?
The internet. In one word, that's it. It's the internet. Our expectations have changed. If we want a cheeseburger, we want it in 20 minutes delivered, and we're going to order it through the internet. We're never going to talk to anybody, but you can get Wendy's to drop you off or McDonald's to drop you off. It used to just be Domino's, right? Now anybody will drop a plate of spaghetti at your door if you can find it online. But really, and I give Candace a lot of credit for the infrastructure that we've put in place to support DHL and Amazon, is that e-commerce is changing everything. It's how we change and we live our lives. In CVG, you should be really proud. We're at the center. The reason why we're so attractive is because we can get you to CVG or from CVG to 60% or 65% of the the U.S. population. It actually is North America because it includes Canada. But if you draw an 8-hour drive circle around CVG Airport, you're going to hit 60 to 65% of the U.S. population. And we're the only airport who can really truly say that. Pittsburgh, if you draw the same circle around Pittsburgh, it's not 60%. If you draw the same circle around Chicago, it's not 60%. You draw the same circle around St. Louis, it's not 60%. CVG is the only major airport that can make that claim, and we're leveraging it to our benefit right now. Thank you for including me, and thank you for having me. Okay.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very, very much. We have a few meetings for today. The Environmental Sustainability Committee will be in Boardroom 4 on the mezzanine. Membership Development is in the Julep Room. Survey Committee, Boardroom 3 on the mezzanine. And next week's meeting, speaker will be Lieutenant General Laura A. Potter, the Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence, G2, of the United States Army. It'll be really exciting. So let's make it a great week out there. Meeting adjourned.